Another great trading week with the members. Here's a few trades from the daily market breakdown videos. Let's get right into this week's Forex Forecast. Starting things off with the US dollar index. The past week the banks got rid of 483 long positions and they also got rid of 1,145 short positions. Now we're going to do a top-down approach here, starting with the weekly chart. You guys know me, I do top-down analysis here. So weekly chart first. We have had so much momentum to the upside. Really no signs of slowing down on the weekly chart here. We are about halfway between demand and supply. So it's difficult to tell, where price is going to go. When we are at demand, we expect price to react positively off to the upside off of demand, and when we are at supply, we expect price to move off of supply in most situations. When we are in the middle, we have to rely on the lower time frames to identify what's most likely going to be taking place. But I just want to first say that we still have tons of room to weekly supply here on the dollar up to about 110. So I think we could, in the long run, still be headed up to that weekly area of supply. Now on the daily chart here, we had this daily demand zone. I pointed out this daily demand last week. We actually broke below the zone, but if you look, we barely broke below it and then immediately rallied out. So to me, what I think this was, it was some sort of fake out or rally to some sort of demand down here. Anyways, at the end of the day, the dollar is looking strong again. Now, if you look at the daily chart again, if I pull this back up, you can see that, okay, yes, this is a sudden dip, but we've had a few dips before and it hasn't really changed anything. So I don't really think that it's a huge, red flag if you are bullish the dollar. What I'd be very concerned about is if you come on the 4-hour chart, if we pull back down to this 4-hour demand and we not only break the demand in the low, that would actually create a pretty good looking 4-hour downtrend at that point if we do break below there. And at that point, I would be pretty bearish the US dollar at that point, especially on day trading timeframes. So the test now will be on this 4-hour chart. If we do pull back to this 4-hour demand, since the overall trend is to the upside, I am actually expecting this demand to kind of hold. Now, we could actually kind of spike below and fake out. We have to be cautious of that. But remember, if we do break that demand, we'll have that pretty good downtrend, and that'll be a very very bearish sign for the DXY. So what I'm hoping for longs, we either need to wait for this demand to be hit, or we need to wait for this high to be removed, because then at that point we'll actually be able to have a connecting trend line here. At that point, we'll have a 4-hour uptrend again, which would be a sign that the dollar trend is going to continue. So really all going to depend around this 4-hour chart right now. Is this demand going to hold? Is it going to break? Is it going to break? I'd actually like to hear your guys' thoughts as well. So let me know in the comments down below about this 4-hour demand. But that's what I am going to be watching here this next week here on the DXY. On to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. The past week, the banks got rid of 4,261 longs, and they also got rid of 850 shorts. Difficult chart to read here. Remember, weekly chart, we pierced through, but I didn't really call that removed just yet. We still have a lot of profit margin. Obviously, just the inverse of the dollar here on the euro. But if you look, remember, overall momentum is to the downside here on the daily chart. So we essentially want to be favoring those shorts, in my opinion. But we actually had a little bit of a bump in the road here, a bump in the road on the 4-hour chart, where we had the downward trend lines and we actually broke above the downward trend lines in the 4-hour chart. Kind of looked like we were going strong, but all of a sudden we had, couple big strong red candles, which pulled back all the way into this 4-hour demand at 1.05. Now, yes, this is a demand zone, but not every supply and demand zone holds, obviously, and this is one I'm actually expecting to break. So if we get something like this, where we break not only the supply but the low, that would create that 4-hour downtrend again. At that point, we could look for shorts again in the euro. But just because I don't think that this demand zone is going to hold doesn't mean we won't see, moves off of it like this. What I mean by don't hold is I don't think this zone is going to be responsible to, push price all the way back up here. Who knows? It could be. You could, in theory, be looking for confirmation trades to the long side inside of this 4-hour demand zone. But I don't think it's a high odds situation based on my experience. So as far as shorts go, we need to wait for this demand zone to be removed, in my opinion. And if we have any supply zone up here, if this does get removed, that will be our potential trading setup there. on the euro. And remember, like I said, if you are bullish the euro, we have 4-hour demand right now. You could be looking for quick little scalps because, like I said, I think this zone, we might struggle to get through it, as in see small moves off of it. But again, I don't think we're going to see massive moves. I think we're probably just going to see small moves and eventually a break. That is just my opinion. And, again, why do I think it's going to break? Well, because the overall momentum is the downside. And I have to go with that. I have to go with the overall momentum. What I trade on oil this week from the daily market breakdown videos. And if you guys want access to these videos where I break down my watch list every single night, quick little 10-minute video going over my watch list, check it out. Links in the description down below to the Diamond membership. We also have video lessons and much more included in the membership as well. And as always, we have our lifetime access is available if you don't want to pay the monthly subscriptions. Nobody really does. So we have the lifetime access available, and the price of that will be consistently going up. So check it out. Links are in the description down below to the Diamond membership. We'll be happy to see you guys join the team. Looking at gold now, remember we pointed out last week, weekly demand was in control on gold. I was expecting to see price move up. We have been waiting very, very patiently for this weekly demand on on gold, and we've seen a very, very nice move to the upside. Now, full top-down approach here. Looking at the daily chart, we are actually, at the time of me recording this video, right in contact with this downward trend line on the daily chart. Now, a lot of you guys might be excited. Oh, downward trend line, we got a short, right? I don't think so. And why do I think we don't short? Well, because in my opinion, what is stronger than a daily downward trend line? Well, that would be a weekly demand zone down here that could be responsible for breaking that downward trend line on the daily chart. So I think we will actually end up breaking, but who knows? We could react down here to some demand and then rise up. But just wanted to let you guys know that we are around that trend line, so we definitely need to be trading with caution. Now, on this 4-hour chart, we did actually end up removing this supply zone here. If you guys remember from last week's video, I think I made a short form video on gold as well, saying I need to wait for this 4-hour supply zone to be taken out for our confirmation long. We got a beautiful trade off of that as well. So beautiful move after we removed that supply for confirmation. And for now, how do we trade gold now? Well, we do have a couple 4-hour demand zones down here at 1886 and 1863. These two zones could be good for potential continuation moves to the upside on gold. And as far as profit margin goes, it's difficult to tell. I really don't see any, looking at the weekly chart, I really don't see any quality supply zones here that could stop a price. So what I really think we could see is a huge move continuation like this on gold long term on the weekly chart, where we go to all-time highs. That is my opinion on gold. That is where I think gold is headed long term. I usually don't give long-term outlooks like that, but that is just my opinion on gold. Obviously, for more conservative confirmation, we already got the 4-hour confirmation with the two 4-hour demand zones I pointed out. But remember, on the daily chart, we're really not out of the woods yet. Yes, okay, the weekly demand zone is in control, but even though I said I think this is going to be removed, we haven't removed it just yet. So what we could see is a push up like this, creating demand down here, and then we could be waiting for this daily demand to be hit and look for longs like that. So this move in the gold that I'm talking about, it's, in my opinion, going to take a long time to play out if it does. So we definitely need to be patient here, wait for potential daily zones, look for longs off of 4-hour zones, but in my opinion, it's longs all the way here on gold. On to the forecast for the USDJPY. The past week, the banks got rid of 25,276 longs, and they also got rid of 10,764 shorts. We will do a top-down approach here. I'm not going to go to the weekly chart, but remember, talking about this the past couple weeks, we do have a weekly supply zone in control. Just remember that, guys. But the reason I'm not too concerned about the supply is how deep we've tested it. And on the daily chart, it's important to remember this trend is absolutely phenomenal here. On the daily chart of the USDN and the DXY, the trend is very strong as well. That's why I've been very, very bullish on the USDN. Unfortunately, we've just seen a lot of choppy price action. If you look on the 4-hour chart here, we had an upward trend line, broke the upward trend line. This demand, in my opinion, is still holding at 148.48 on the 4-hour chart, but I just do not like this sideways price action. I do not personally like to trade in a sideways market. In my opinion, it's just low odds. So I'm just going to leave it like that I'm just going to leave it like that there on the USDN. But looking at the 1-hour chart, it is a little bit more clear. We have a 1 hour demand zone down below at 148.74. We could look for longs at in this demand zone. If we do pull back down to there, that's really the first option. And why I'm going to favor longs instead of shorts is because of the overall daily uptrend. So that's why I'm going to favor longs here. So we either need to wait for this 1 hour demand to be hit, or if we can remove this 1 hour supply from back here at 149, we get something like this, leaving us with 1 hour demand. This would be your trade right there off of that 1 hour demand zone. So that's really all I'm seeing here on the USDN. And of course, if we remove this supply as well, that'd be a good sign of a 1 hour trend. And at that point, you could be looking for day trading longs as well. So that is what I'm seeing here on the USDN. And remember, we have a daily uptrend, so it's longs all the way. Forecast for the GBPUSD. The past week, the banks got rid of 7,621 long positions, and they also got rid of 4,253 shorts. We do have a weekly supply zone down here, and this is our long-term profit margin down to 1.16. Just wanted to point that out here on the weekly chart first of the GBPUSD. And looking at the daily chart, remember, the overall momentum is down. I just want to say that this analysis on the pound is going to be very, very similar to the euro. Just want to automatically point that out. So daily downward momentum here, we certainly need to be favoring shorts. But just like the euro, we didn't quite get a pullback up to this 4 hour supply. I still think it's a good area to look for shorts. But in the meantime, very similar to the euro, we have a demand zone that is in control on the 4 hour chart. And yes, we could be looking for day trading longs in here if you are bullish, or if you think we're going to at least go up to this supply. But the better move, in my opinion, is to trade with the overall daily downward momentum and wait for this demand and these lows to be removed, and then wait for a pullback up to a supply zone to look for a trade there. So that is what it's looking like on the pound. Like I said, it's very similar to the euro in the sense of the momentum is down on the daily chart. It's similar to the euro in the sense that we have a 4 hour demand zone here. So it's basically the same analysis on the pound. But what are your thoughts? Do you think we are going to, break this 4 hour demand zone on the pound, or do you think we're going to hold up to this supply zone at 1.23? Let me know in the comments down below. Forecast for the USDCAD. The past week, the banks added 5,006 longs, and they also got rid of 1,332 shorts. The last couple forecasts was talking about this purple supply zone at 1.37. We did get a great move off of this supply zone. Maybe didn't get a short trade off of it because we didn't see a huge move, but at least saved us from getting in long and taking some unnecessary losses. We do have that overall daily trend as well. Doesn't look like we're pulling back to this daily demand, so I think all signs are really pointing to the upside here on the USD CAD. And looking at the 4 hour chart, I pointed out this 4 hour demand last week, I believe, as well, and we got a nice reaction off of it. At least so far, we haven't got a huge move away. Really, almost only like 1.5 to 1 so far. So hopefully, you're going to see a continuation move from anybody who got in long down at this 4 hour demand from last week's forecast or from the daily market breakdown videos as well. So as far as the USD CAD goes, we have demand zones in control. I think it's longs all the way. So we need to be looking for longs on day trading timeframes for sure as we react off of this 4 hour demand. And where I think we could be headed is back up to this daily supply and eventually most likely breaking it. So that's what I think is going to be taking place, especially since we have that overall beautiful daily daily uptrend, and that is definitely a sign that I think we're going to be breaking this supply as well. So we really, in my opinion, like I said, need to be favoring longs at this 4 hour demand, 1 hour demand there as well, and on day trading timeframes as we continue to go up. All right, now we're looking at the Aussie US dollar. The past week, the banks got rid of 7,638 long positions, and they also got rid of 13,048 short positions. Remember, weekly chart here, we do have a weekly demand in control, but it's tested so deep now that it is, in my opinion, looking like it is going to break. But just wanted to point that out. And very similar to the pound and the euro as well, we have overall daily momentum, but more importantly, we actually have a daily down trend, not just momentum. So in my opinion, the Aussie US dollar is actually looking much better for shorts, in my opinion. And really the only supply zone I am seeing right now at this point is at 0.64. On the 4 hour chart, this could be a great area to look for your confirmation shorts. So if we hit up this zone right here, we could be looking for shorts on a lower time frame. The problem with the zone is it's a very obvious peak where we could see some sort of fake out manipulation to the upside. So really anywhere in this general area is going to be a good area to look for day trading confirmation shorts, in my opinion, on the Aussie US dollar, just based on the overall daily downtrend. So that's really all I am seeing here on the Aussie US dollar. And as always, we have a 4-hour, 1-hour downtrend. So we could, in theory, just be continuing to look for day trading shorts still. But I'm just saying we could get a pullback up to that 4-hour supply zone. So be cautious of that on the Aussie. USDCHF forecast. The past week, the banks got rid of 177 longs, and they also added 490 shorts. Last week, we broke this daily demand zone, but we had another daily demand zone located below at 0.89. As you can see, we just reacted off this zone perfectly. Absolutely zero drawdown. We have seen a red candle now, but if you look, so you can see here that we have our daily demand zone. So we're looking for longs off of the zone. Beautiful reaction. Red candle, not looking great, right? Well, actually, what's taking place is essentially all it is a pullback to this 1-hour confirmation zone right here that we are currently reacting off of. So with this 1-hour demand and control, we could easily see a move to the upside here. So we could actually, at this time, we could be looking for day trading longs on a 5-minute chart or a 15-minute chart, as well as we have our 1-hour demand zone confirmation in control. So I am expecting to see the break of this high, the break of this supply, and a great reaction off of this demand zone. That is what I am personally expecting to see on the USD Swiss. I could be wrong. We could, break it here. We could get a small reaction and end up breaking. But the reason I am bullish again at this 1-hour demand, the reason I am bullish here on the USD Swiss is because of the overall, daily demand that is in control right here. So that is why I am bullish on the USD Swiss. Last but not least, we were on to crude oil. The past week, the banks got rid of 48,000 longs, and they also got rid of 20,000 shorts. Remember, last week, I pointed out this daily demand zone. I said we could be trading from demand up to supply, and we did exactly that. We basically went from demand all the way to supply. So go back and check out last week's forecast to see the prediction on that. So we definitely, longs are off of the table now, but as you guys saw earlier, we got a beautiful trade off of this 1-hour demand zone back here, called out in the daily market breakdown video. Just an absolutely amazing trade off of that zone right there. A little bit tighter is actually pretty much how I took it right there. But that is the zone on the 1-hour chart. So now we actually have a 1-hour uptrend. So in theory, longs are fine. The reason I say we should hold off on longs is because this daily supply is actually somewhat decent. I think it's a decent zone. It didn't remove demand, but it is a decent supply zone. So we actually could see price at least hesitate to continue higher. Based on my multiple time frame and multiple sequence analysis, I am expecting the price of oil to continue to rise. But that doesn't mean we won't see hard times here for a couple days as we try to break through this supply. So we could see some downward moves here in oil. So in theory, the best move for longs is to actually wait for this daily supply to be taken out first. But if you are bullish on oil and you want to just continue to look for longs and you don't really care, we could be looking for longs down at this demand at 84.45. I know that's a very deep pullback. We might not even get there, but at least on the 4-hour chart, if we break this 4-hour supply here at 88.56, if we break that supply, leaving us with 4-hour demand here, we could be looking for longs there as well. So a couple options here on oil, but like I said, it might be best to wait for that daily supply to be taken out before you just hop on long, because we could easily see a move off of that daily supply zone. If you guys want to watch the full-length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.